everybody know that we're here.
Okay. So I can say the N word on this one, right?
No, you cannot.
Okay. All right. How many F words do I get?
uh, One. It's PG-13. You get one.
All right. I know where I'm going to use it.
All right. Well, I got all my
I put it
tabs
in the
open.
first line of my show notes if you read it.
Nice. Let me look real quick. All righty then. All right. I'm good to go, so we can go ahead and get the show started if you're ready.
Sounds good.
All right, here we go in three, two, one. Greetings, programs, and we're back for another episode of the Nerd Cave Retro Show. My name is Jason Robbins.
I'm the blob that ate Derek
Yeah.
Diamond, Jacob Craig.
Yep, Derek is still on vacation, so I asked my Open Micers co-host Jacob to be here with me tonight. And so how does it feel to be on a show other than Open Micers with me?
It's fun, man. I think I filled in for Nerd Cave once
Yeah.
before. Yeah, it's fun. I don't know how it is for the listeners because I mean we're wild on open micers.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm not for everybody, but it's gonna be a wild Nerd Cave retro.
Well, I already
Okay,
got asked before the show started, like, how many F-bombs can I drop? I was like, you get
yeah,
one. You get one.
I get one, and you'll know when I drop it. Yeah, I get one. Yeah, look, I'm a stand-up comic. I like retro video games. I'm not as prolific as Derek or Jason, but now that the PS2 is officially retro, we're in my era because I'm a big PS2
Well, I
gamer.
was going to have you bring that up. You just procured a fresh PS2 for yourself not too
Yeah,
long ago. And it's the Fat Boy, too. It's one of the original ones.
yeah, it's a Fat Boy. I bought it off of Facebook Marketplace. Some guy who flips storage units found that, and he had an NES that didn't have a power cable that he kept trying to sell me. But I left that. I got the PS2 for like $40. The power cord's rusted to shit, so I can't unplug it with the fear that I'll put Gulfport in a blackout.
Yeah.
Uh, so I don't dare unplug it. But yeah, man, I grew up with like three different fat PS2s before we upgraded to the Slim when I was a kid. So yeah, I'm really happy that I found that.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, you can get a new plug at Play and Talk. They have the new plugs you can get over there, so you don't have to worry about burning your apartment building down with a rusty plug.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that before the PS2 shorts out. We just got a new TV for the bedroom too, which is where I had it. So I plugged it up to our like 60 something inch TV in the living room.
Yeah.
So like I'm playing PS2 games on a little letterbox
Yeah.
screen on a giant smart TV.
It's weird to do that though, because that's how I play mine. Actually, I have two PS2s. I got one that I hooked up to the TV in the living room. I have a 55-inch VZO that I use, and I bought a PS2 not too long ago that had it came with the little flip up TV thing on
Yeah.
it. So I got that, but playing it on the big TV is crazy because like back in the day, I still have my 20-inch CRT television that I've had since like 1998 or something like that. So it's weird to go from playing on that and then go into a new TV and it still looks okay, but it's still a little. Some
Yeah.
of the games are kind of like, ooh, that's ugly.
Yeah, and it depends on the game too. Like, and I feel like they really didn't, I don't know if the technology wasn't there or what, but they did not like mix the sound on a
Yeah,
lot of these games very well at all. Like
yeah.
going through a state of the art sound bar. Like I'm playing Spider-Man 2 right now, the movie version, Spider-Man 2, and it looks awful.
Yeah.
But it actually like Bruce Campbell does the voiceover. It actually sounds amazing.
Yeah, that's a
But
really good game.
yeah, it is, dude. But everyone looks like box people
Yeah.
still, which sucks because
Yes.
it came out, like
Speaking
the
of
same time as the game that I'm reviewing tonight.
Yeah, and speaking of sound being kind of bad, I've been playing San Andreas on the
Oh
PS2, and the
God.
sound mixing on that game is atrocious.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah, no, it is.
you,
I
and
got into the what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say on newer games, I pretty much just pop on subtitles, and like sometimes the subtitles on there just don't work. So I'm like trying to
Yeah.
listen to people say things. I have no idea what anyone's saying.
Yeah, I got into the siphon filter games for a minute on my PS5. I had the PS5 retro add-on or whatever.
Mhm.
And so I downloaded a couple of the siphon filter games. And the first siphon filter for PS2, like with the gunshots in that game, sound like you're just banging like two trash can lids together. Like it's god awful. It looks like crap.
Yeah,
And I bet when it came out, everyone was like, we'll never get more
yeah.
advanced than this.
Oh, I can guarantee you that. That's how we used to be back then. Like we go back and look at games like back in the late '90s for like the N64, and we were just like GoldenEye. We were just like, this is never gonna get any better than this. This is the best games are ever gonna look.
Yeah, I remember thinking that like for like when I went back and reviewed the PS1 Spider-Man for the show the last time I was on, like I have memories of the game when I was a kid thinking like, oh, it doesn't look that bad. It's not as good as a PS2 game. But then I replayed it
Mhm.
for the show, a couple years ago, and I was like, oh my God. I can barely see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you could run that game on MS Paint. I'm pretty sure you could.
Probably.
Yeah, it's like everything was just triangular.
Yeah. I have to, and I found and there's a flea market near me that they got a bunch of PS2 games. I'll have to
Yeah.
let you know about it. That it's over there over in St. Martin, and I ran into it the other day, and they have a ton of PS2 games. You should go take a look at.
Yeah, that's the antique place or is it somewhere else?
Yeah, it's an antique place over by Sicily's in St. Martin.
Nice. Yeah, I need to head over there and
Yeah,
once I get a bankroll, I'll go over
yeah,
there and buy them out of their finest PlayStation 2 games.
yeah. They had a bunch of in-box Nintendo games too, but of course they were too expensive. I couldn't afford them. So
Yeah, dude, even PS2 games are getting kind of expensive now. Like I think it's making a bit of a resurgence now that
yeah,
it's become officially retro. Like the cheapest PS2 games are like, $10
hmm
for a decent title. And there's some that are like 25 to $40 for one that like I remember having as a kid and being like, oh man, I would love to play this game again. And it's like, well, you're gonna have to spend the price of a new video game if you want to
yeah.
relive that experience.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say at the that little flea market antique shop thing. I think the cheapest one is like $10. I mean, they have a ton of games, but they're all anywhere from 10 to $50.
That's crazy, dude. I remember when the PS2 was like not a new system, but like the PS3 and Xbox 360 had been out for a few years. I remember people giving me like boxes of PS2 games,
Yeah,
like just giving them to me because I still played the PS2.
that's how everything is. I mean, you couldn't give away Nintendo games back in the late '90s. I mean, I remember going into like Walmart and stuff, and there'd be just big bins of Nintendo games for like $5.
Mhm.
And then in the early 2000s, like nobody wanted Nintendo games. They couldn't give those things away, and now it's like you can't find one for less than $10. And then people think like just because they have an original Legend of Zelda still in the box that it's worth like $500. Like no, it's not. Like
Yeah.
there were millions of those things.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, a lot of Nintendo products do that. I remember when the game Beyond Good and Evil came out for the PS2. They like PS2 was everywhere so much so they had it at the Dollar General.
Yeah.
Brand new. They had it at the freaking Dollar General. They had a stand with Jade, the protagonist, on it, and they wanted $15 for a brand new
Yeah.
PS2 game.
Oh,
And my mom was like, "That's a little too expensive, but I guess I'll get it."
they had that game the other day at the flea market. I almost bought it.
I'm going to get it. I love that game. That
Yeah.
game's awesome. Like if I had it, I'd probably reviewed it tonight. Yeah, that's like the PS2 has so many hidden gems
hmm
because like if you go to any gaming store, there's just walls and walls of PS2 games. Like there's so many hidden gem titles for that system.
Well, hell, the PS3, PS2 had what, like 3,000 titles for it or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, something like that, dude. I mean, it's run. I'll say I think the PS2 run and the Game Boy Advanced run will both be unmatched in
Yeah.
terms of like the quality titles you can get for those two systems.
I'm just going to do a quick little Google search of how many games did the PS2 have.
Oh, we're gonna be here all day.
Let's see. Had it doesn't say. Oh, there are 3,434 video games on the PlayStation 2.
That's crazy.
That's a
And
lot
then
of
you
games.
add in too that it's backwards compatible to the PS1.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy.
you can play like 5,000 games on one system. And everything that came out for like a lot of stuff that came out for the PS2, GameCube, or whatever, they had a Game Boy Advance version too.
Yeah,
So there's so many games for the Game Boy Advanced.
yeah. I almost bought one of those the other day too. They had a Game Boy Advance at that little shop.
You should, dude. It's really
I
good.
need
Get
it.
that and get some of the like non-authentic Pokemon games that are like $10.
Yeah,
You'll have a good time.
hell yeah. And I got a little stomach bug this weekend too. I got off early today from work. I slept for 4 hours this afternoon. I just got up like an hour ago. So if my voice is a little weird, that's because I got no sleep last night.
That's old man behavior.
Yeah, it is. At least I didn't poop my pants like some people.
Look, listen, it might happen tonight.
We'll see.
I had I'll give you three guesses what I just had for dinner.
Popeyes,
Nope.
gas station sushi,
Close.
gas
Well, no,
station
it's
hot
not close,
dogs.
but I messed you up saying it was close. It's nothing from the gas station. I'll give
Oh,
you one more guess.
oh, you had Dynasty.
No, I made pizza grilled cheese.
That's healthy.
Yeah, it's a grilled cheese with like all the toppings of a pizza on it.
That you should put that recipe up in the Nerd Cave Retro Discord so people can enjoy whatever the hell that is.
It speaks for itself. You just put the toppings of a pizza in between two slices of bread, and then you fry that thing until it's seen the light.
That sounds horrifying. But on that note, we're gonna go ahead and get into some news, shall we?
I'm not.
And some of tonight's stories were provided by I Am the Rampage. And if you have a news story you'd like us to cover, send them to nerdcaveretro at gmail.com. Ooh, and I just realized that Loopback finally fixed the soundboard problem. So I'm not clipping out every time a sound goes. That's awesome. We're back to normal, everybody. They fixed it. Hell yeah. I like that. This first story is from, where is this from? SonicStadium.org. Sega delisting massive trove of Genesis, Saturn, Dreamcast, and arcade games from all platforms in December. Sega's support website has announced that a lengthy library of their classic games are being delisted from all major digital platforms, including a handful of classic Sonic titles. The Sega Classics FAQ support page notes that the titles will be delisted in 1 month on December 6th. Existing purchases will remain playable, but they won't be available to purchase after individually or in bundles. Let's see. They're delisting the Sega Genesis Mega Drive Classics. Over 50 retro games on the platform, including Sonic 1, 2, 3D Blast, Spinball, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Flicky, and Rystar, among many, many others. So what do you think about this whole delisting thing? I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, Sega's almost as bad as Nintendo with that crap.
They used to not
Like,
be.
just
Now they
yeah,
are. I don't get it.
just let us play the games.
Yeah, that's all
It's
we
not
need.
that hard. Just let us play the games.
Just keep them up. Like how much does it cost to keep these games up available for purchase or just somewhere online? I mean, they don't take up that much space. It's not like you have to have warehouses of storage to keep these games. I mean, they're literally like some of these games are barely like 10 megabytes big.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could fit like the first three Sonic games on an SD card.
Yeah, like I was telling I think it might have been Wally last week or Derek the week before. I literally have the entire Super Nintendo library on a thumb drive that
Yeah.
I plug into my computer. Like that, I have the entire SNES library on a thumb drive. So don't sit here and tell me that this stuff takes up too much space, because it doesn't.
Yeah, it's insane, man. And I'm one of those like weird artsy people where I think that like movies, TV shows, games, like
Hmm.
any form of expression shouldn't be just like deleted. Like it shouldn't be just taken away.
Exactly.
Like just keep it available for whoever may want to consume it. And if no one's consuming it, it's not hurting you
Yeah.
any to just leave it there.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I just don't understand. I wish we could get somebody from like Nintendo or Sega on the show so we can interview them and be like, why do you guys do this shit? There's no reason for this.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Maybe we don't understand because like you'd have to get into like the Japanese like cultural frame of mind
Yeah.
or like the business frame of mind, but it's just even in terms of business, like how many dumb decisions has Nintendo made over the years where you're just like, even from a business perspective, this is the dumbest thing you
Yeah.
could possibly do.
I
You're
just,
shooting yourself in the foot for
yeah.
making money.
I just don't get it. I don't understand. I'll never understand it.
No, no, me neither. It doesn't make any sense. This next story comes from Nintendo Life. Tetris Forever Switch eShop file size revealed ahead of launch. So this is the hard hitting journalism you get on the
Yeah.
Nerd Cave Retro show. The file size of Tetris,
Yeah.
according to an
It's been a
official
light
listing.
news week. I didn't have a whole lot to stick in here. So,
So we're talking about the file size of Tetris.
yeah.
That's what we're doing right now.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
All right, look, so you're going to need 5.3 gigs of free space to install this collection on your Switch. As previously confirmed, there will be more than 15 playable games in Tetris Forever, including several that haven't ever been released outside of Japan. Oh, that's pretty cool. So you can buy this collection and get some games you've probably never played before if you're a Tetris fan.
And the thing is, like, it's all
Pre-orders.
just Tetris. Why is it 5.3 gigs?
Yeah, it is a little weird. That's a
Yeah,
lot of blocks,
that's
I
a
guess.
lot. And I mean,
Uh,
you think your regular Switch only has like what, like 10 gigs of space or 20 gigs of space on it before you have to upgrade it. Like, that's crazy. That's Tetris games. A Tetris game is 5.3 gigs.
Yeah, I guess because it's like 15 different games in one,
I,
but even still.
Even still, like, those 15 games altogether shouldn't be more than like a gig, if that.
Yeah, that is weird. Yeah, I don't know. I want kind of want to know the story behind what takes so much room up. It says that pre-orders for Tetris Forever are now available on the Switch eShop. It'll set you back $34.99 for 15 Tetris games. That's a bit steep.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I love Tetris. It's one of my favorite games of all time. But $35? This shouldn't have been more than 20, 15, 20 tops.
Yeah, and even still, you might not get that. You
Yeah.
might not get anyone buying this. Like, so you're gonna take down original Sonic games, but you're gonna make us pay $35 for Tetris. That's insanity.
Welcome to Trump's America, everybody.
It says when this title was originally announced during the Partner Direct in August, Nintendo also revealed it would be adding the NES version of Tetris to the Switch Online service this winter.
So that's really the
So,
only one you need. So as long as you can play that, why are you going to spend $35 on this?
yeah, I mean, maybe I'm mistaken here. Maybe I don't really know, the nuances of different Tetris games. But I think once you've played Tetris, you've played them all.
Yeah, I don't. I'm with Rampage in the chat room. He says I'll wait until Nintendo puts Tetris on sale for $19.99. But here's the thing: Nintendo never puts anything on sale ever. They're still asking full price for like Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And then you go to resellers and get a pre-owned version for like $4 cheaper
Yeah,
than a new one.
it's
And they pay
it's
you like
nuts.
20 bucks for them.
Yeah. Here, we'll give you 49 cents for your copy of Odyssey if you want to sell it to us.
Right.
And this next story is from Engadget.com. The best retro gaming gifts for the 2024 holidays. Let's go to a quick overview here. We got the 8-bit Do or 8-bit Do Bluetooth retro receiver, which is $25 at Amazon. Here's one that's interesting to me: the Oregon Trail card game.
Huh.
I
Yeah,
kind
that
of want
sounds
to
like
play.
fun.
That sounds like fun. I don't know why.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
probably more high res than Oregon Trail.
yeah, probably. The GameSir G8 Galileo Type C mobile gaming controller. I guess that's kind of one of those backbone things where you hook your phone into it.
Mm.
Let's see. The Analog Pocket is now $220 at Analog. The Retroid Pocket 4 is $149. Let's see. The Sega Genesis Mini 2 is $188 on Amazon. God.
No, it's not. That's crazy.
That's wow.
What is Sega doing as a company?
I don't know what they're doing lately. Something weird's going on over there at Sega.
Maybe they're like anticipating, like permeating sales from Sonic 3 or something.
I don't know. I guess. They have an 8-bit retro mechanical keyboard that looks very much like the old Nintendo controller for $88 at Amazon. There's the Game Boy, the box art collection. Let me look this up real quick. This looks interesting. What is this? Sort of like I guess this is a book of all the different art. Yeah, it's a book with all the different Game Boy art in it. Sort of like that Atari book we talked about not too long ago.
It's got pictures.
Yeah, it's got pictures. And then there's UFO 50 for $25 on Steam. And that game has gotten a lot of good reviews lately. I'm kind of interested in getting that. And then Grid Studio Artwork. I'm not sure what that is, but it's $179 at Grid Studio. So if you got some retro gaming lovers in your life, this is a pretty good article to go check out. So if anybody wants to send us the Oregon Trail card game for Christmas, just hit me up and I'll give you the address to send it to, and we'll play it. We'll play it online one night.
Yeah, that sounds like fun for sure. Yeah, I think that's probably the best like buy, like especially if it's priced for like a stocking stuffer for anyone in your family that likes video games.
Yeah, cool stuff. I like it.
But yeah, I forgot that it was me now. This next article is also from Nintendo Life. I think that I was given the best article of the night.
Uh-huh.
It's official. Switch 2 will be backwards compatible. So that's actually kind of like huge news, confirming that it is going to be backwards compatible. Although Nintendo isn't ready to reveal the Switch 2 just yet, the company's president, here we go, Shantaro Furukawa, has confirmed.
Good job.
Oh, thank you. Has confirmed some big news during the latest corporate management policy briefing. Nintendo Switch software will be playable on this successor system. Along with this, it's also been confirmed Switch Online will be available on Nintendo's next generation hardware. Here's the translated message shared on the Nintendo Japanese social accounts. So it's basically just saying, what we just read. So on the Switch 2, you can play Switch software and you'll still have the same Switch Online. Fans can expect more updates about the Switch successor at a later date. This official update follows ongoing rumors about the successor model supporting backwards compatibility. Nintendo has previously mentioned its services and account systems would carry over to next generation so it can create a lasting relationship with consumers. Finally, they're getting it.
Yeah,
they're finally getting it.
A little bit at a time.
Yeah, and this is like, maybe I'm mistaken here, but in terms of backwards compatibility, this is like the first time it's happened since like the original DS had a Game Boy port in it.
Well, not only that, but I think they did it for the Wii had backwards compatibility with the GameCube. That's the last time they've done it. So this is pretty, progressive for Nintendo.
Yeah, even the Wii U couldn't play Wii games.
Because look, if they even if you could just take if they do sort of like what the PS5 does or whatever, where you can play an older game, but it just kind of upreses everything for you.
Mhm.
I mean, those the way Nintendo makes their games look, they're pretty stylized. So even if you just kind of upres your games from the Switch era, they're going to look and play great on the Switch too. Like it's not like it's
Yeah.
going to be such a huge jump in, graphics and everything that it's going to look bad or anything. Like I think it's really good idea because it's going to keep your regular Switch library of games like available for a long time to purchase.
Yeah, I mean 100%. That's why I love my PS5 so much because I can go to GameStop, buy a PS4 game for $10, and chances are it's backwards compatible on the
Yep.
PS5. I don't even have to check.
Yeah.
Like 90% of the PS4 library, unless it's something super obscure, is backwards compatible on disc for the PS5. And not to mention all of the huge game library it has in its online service. That's the only reason I pay for it, you know?
And at this point, we're, it's 2024. We should be able to like have a PS5 and be able to play original PlayStation games on it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no reason why that shouldn't be a thing now.
100%. Yeah, I think, going forward, there's only so much more you can get with like, oh yeah, the PlayStation 6, it's gonna load stuff so much faster. Like you gotta give me something else if you want me to spend four or
Yeah.
$500 on it.
So that's the thing. I mean, the fidelity, we're not going to get much better than what it is now. I mean, they're putting out, the PS5 is what, 4K, 8K?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
at that point, it's like it's diminishing returns as far as fidelity. So why not just put out a console? Like, what if this next console go around, PlayStation just puts out a console that just says, all right, this will play everything back to the original PlayStation. Dude, that thing would sell gangbusters.
It would, yeah. And I think that would put the ball in a lot of people's courts. Like, we've already seen the desperate move from GameStop going back to selling Xbox
Yep.
360, PS3, Wii games in their store because they know that their business is failing,
Hmm.
trying to just only sell, new generation games that are available on the store for cheaper, on the online store for cheaper. That would definitely put the ball in like GameStop's court to be like,
Yeah.
oh, well, now we have to start buying PS2 and PS1 games and like sell them in our store because everyone's gonna start playing them again.
And I think they're going to close the GameStop near me. I went in there the other day. I bought Resident Evil 4 for the Xbox. And yeah, that store's looking a little bare these days.
They all are, man. The last time I went into a GameStop, like, I had, and not to mention too, like the people that work there are pretty abrasive these
Yeah.
days too. So it's like I'm gonna go into a store, have an unhelpful conversation with someone that works there, and pay more money for a game that I can get online, staying home, not talking to this person.
And here's the thing, we've gone from one end of the spectrum to the other with GameStop. And I used to complain about this back in the day when I hated going to GameStop because as soon as you walked in, there was like 5 employees in there and they would just accost you the second you
Yeah.
walk in. Is there anything I can get for you? What are you looking for today? Do you want to pre-order something? $5 down for the new, FIFA. And I'm like, get the hell out of my face. I just want to look around. And now you walk in there, it's like you're a ghost. Like they don't even acknowledge your presence until
They
you
don't
like,
even look up from what they're
yeah,
doing.
until you like ask them a direct question.
Yeah, there's this one guy that works at the GameStops down here. I've seen him at like every one of them. I think he's like a manager or something that goes around to the different stores. But like whenever I walk in and see that guy, I just walk right back out. And I'm like, I guess I'm not going to GameStop today.
Yeah.
Because this guy, I don't know if I haven't said this on this show before. This guy offered to buy my entire PS4 system, controller, um, two controllers actually, and like three games for $3.
What?
I'm not making this up. For $3. Because he looked at it and he was like, oh, I see dust, so I'm gonna have to charge you a refurbishing fee. when like the thing's clean, runs perfectly fine. There's like a little dust on it, just like there would be on your shelf
Yeah.
at home. I didn't bother wiping it off before I brought it in the store. He's like, so after the refurbishing fee, and oh, you don't have a USB cable with you to charge the controller, so you'd have to buy a USB cable from me. So after that, it's going to be $3. Do you still want to trade it in? I was like, no, I'm good. And then I went and sold it for
Wow.
$90 online.
Jeez. That's
Yeah,
insane.
it's GameStop is
They're
going the way of the dodo.
they're not long for this world. The only reason they're still open right now is because of that meme stock thing that happened a couple of
Yeah,
years ago. That's the only reason they're still open right now.
yeah, that's really it. Yeah, they're getting desperate for sure.
But we're running a little late, so I think we're going to skip video game history for this week, and we're going to go ahead and roll into the Patreon shout-outs before we go into our review. So I just want to go ahead and shout out our good friends and patrons over at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro, and I want to shout out Mr. Wally Phelps, who was on the show last week, Brian Piotrowski, Nick W., El the Zombie, Yup Fed, a.k.a. Knife, James, a.k.a. at Jimbo Jr. on Discord, Raven, Danny House, Justin Nispel, John West, Daniel Salmon, Mike Evelyn, Mr. B-Res Coffee himself, Mr. Tyler Watson, the fact checker to the fact checker, Axeblade07, Armez Jackson, Carlos Longoria, a.k.a. I am the Rampage, Staff Sergeant Sketch, Gus and Penny, Matthew Salmon, Joey Image, and of course, Mama Diamond, Donna Diamond. New patrons, send us your social media info on Twitter or Facebook, wherever, Threads, wherever, so we can give you a proper social media shout out. And I just want to say, last month we did our Killer Clowns from Outer Space roundtable with Mr. TV's Travis. You know TV's Travis, don't you, there, Jacob?
Yeah, we did a show together.
Yeah, he came on here and we talked about Killer Clowns from Outer Space for Halloween. That was fun. The month before that, we did quite possibly one of my favorite commentary tracks we ever did for No Holds Barred. That movie is insane. Have you ever seen it?
I've never seen it, but I know what it's about.
Dude, you've got to see it. I can't describe the insanity of it. You just have to experience it yourself and then understand that movie was written over a weekend between Hulk Hogan and McMahon. What's his first? I keep thinking Ed McMahon. Vince. Why am I thinking Ed McMahon? Oh, yes, sir. You are correct. But between those two, they wrote it over a weekend in a hotel. So there was like a mountain of cocaine that went into writing that movie.
Yeah, dude, so much coke and racism in that hotel room put right into the script.
Yeah. So please go watch it. You will thank me because it is one of the dumbest movies ever, and you'll be a better person for having seen it.
Yeah, I'll watch. What is it? Trucker arm wrestling.
That's
I'll
not
watch
it.
Trucker arm wrestling. Dude.
No, you're thinking of Over the Top. No, this is.
Oh.
Yeah, Over the Top. It's basically the same movie, but just different movies. Like this, No Holds Barred is the one with Hulk Hogan and Zeus.
But it's like the same concept.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, all those movies were the same thing. And the thing is, we watched it and we couldn't figure out the plot the whole time. Like, there's no plot to it. There's none.
Yeah, I gotta watch it. Then I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, if you can't find a plot to follow because there's none. So it's just like random scenes thrown together, and then the movie's over, and you're just like, what the hell did I just watch? That's how you feel at the end of it.
So wrestling.
Yeah, it's just wrestling, just random crap thrown on screen with Hulk Hogan in tight spandex, being Hulk Hogan. That's pretty much all it is. So if you want to go listen to us commentate on that kind of stuff, you get it early. You get all the commentary tracks and all that extra stuff a month before the public does. So for as little as $1 a month, you get all those commentary tracks early. Plus, you get your own RSS feed with 0 ads. You take that RSS feed, you plug it into whatever podcatcher of your choice, and you set it and forget it. So if you want to do that, it's patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. Patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. Go do it today. And this is where I would normally play some music for the game, but I can't do that because all the music in the game will get me banned on YouTube. So pretend I played some music here as we go into the intro for Tony Hawk's Underground 2. Yeah. So yeah,
Yes,
there's the music.
I am reviewing Tony Hawk's Underground 2, known in short as Thug 2. It's a 2004 skateboarding video game from Activision and the sixth entry in the Tony Hawk series after Tony Hawk's Underground. Developed by Neversoft, it was released on October 4th, 2004. So just making it in there as a retro game. And it was released in the US for PS2, Xbox, GameCube, Windows, and Game Boy Advanced.
I can't believe this is 20 years old already, dude. This is insane.
I know. I mean, I grew up playing this game as a small child.
Dude, I remember me and my roommate and all of our friends would get together on like Fridays and Saturday nights and just play Tony Hawk games all night. And that seems like yesterday. Like, it does not seem like over 20 years ago.
Yeah, it doesn't at all, and it doesn't, look like a 20-year-old game either. I'll get into that in my my review.
Oh, and before we go any further, Rampage says that No Holds Barred is available on Tubi right now. So if anybody out there wants to go watch No Holds Barred, it's for free on Tubi.
It would have to be free on Tubi. Yeah. No one's gonna pay for it.
No one's paying for that movie.
It's the Sonic Spinball of movies.
Yeah.
Available for free on Tubi. Just take it off. But yeah, man, just my review for Tony Hawk. The first line I have written down here in my notes: Thug 2 absolutely fucks. There it is.
There's the one F-bomb for our PG-13 show. Sorry, kids. It's a PG-13 show, so there's the one F-bomb.
And it does, dude. Like, I went back and played this game. I found this at a sort of a flea market thrift store. I went like way out of my way, like 20 minutes into Gulfport to go get this thing.
Dude, let me tell you that the little flea market I was telling you about.
Yeah.
Dude, there's literally like 10 copies of this in there that they're selling for like $10 a piece.
Oh my God, dude.
There's so many copies of this.
I should have gone there first. But yeah, like as soon as I booted it up, like it looks exactly how I remember. Even in like 2006, 2007, when I started playing it, it was my older brother's game. And for a game that was made in 2004, it still looks presentable.
Yeah.
Like it cleans up well. Like it does not look bad. Like I said earlier, I'm playing Spider-Man 2 that was released the same year, and it looks so much worse than Thug 2 does. Like it's if you can get past low res Bam Margera,
yeah,
like it holds up nice.
Well, all the Pro Skater games, the Tony Hawk's games, they still kind of all look good. Even the original one that goes back to the original PlayStation still looks decent to this day. It's not terrible.
Yeah, it's not. I will say that there's not like, through the game, you play as a rotating cast of pro skateboarders. With some of the pro skateboarders, they didn't do a great job with sort of designing, how they look in real life. Like, obviously guys like Mike Valley, he's bald with a beard. So it's, he's easy to distinguish. But then you have guys like Chad Muska, Bob Burnquist, like all these other, pro skaters who a lot of people probably don't really know. They all look like exactly the same for the most part. Like you can't tell their faces apart.
I always did create a character on these games.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of the story is, you create your own character, but then you also have a pro skater that you use in every level. So that can be Mike Valley, Chad Muska, and the last level you play is Tony Hawk, and you have a secret character that you have to go find, and it's someone like a court jester, a shrimp vendor, someone like that.
Wasn't this the one that had Steve-O?
This was the one that had Steve-O.
Okay,
Steve-O
yeah.
is one of the secret characters. Steve-O riding a mechanical bull
Yeah.
is definitely in this game.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so you have the guest skaters, and then you have the secret skaters too, that are people like the Bigfoot in the
Mm,
last level. You have to find Bigfoot, and then you can play as Bigfoot, like crazy stuff like that.
yeah.
Like you play as like a witch doctor riding a tricycle in New Orleans. Like just funny stuff that you don't find in video games today.
Yeah.
Like there's no video games today where you unlock Jesse James from American Chopper riding a motorized Segway. Like this kind of gaming from the early 2000s was just so fun, where you can just go around and do all these little Easter eggs and like stuff that's not even part of the game that you have to have like a friend tell you about. Like
Yeah.
it's not the same anymore.
Yeah. I can't think of anything now that kind of reminds me of this. Like, it was such a weird time for not only video games, but just pop culture in general. And
Yeah.
to just, it feels like this was the era for video games where they were just experimenting and trying everything, no matter how weird it was. And now I feel like we're kind of in an era of gaming where all like the AAA games are all kind of the same thing. It's all kind of like open world and RPG, or like a first person military shooter. It's kind of like nobody's doing just weird off the wall stuff now.
Yeah, and Mortal Kombat's holding that line, I think, with like guest characters. But even then, you have to pay for them as a DLC.
Yeah, and
Like in terms of incorporating other things, like people into your games.
yeah, and Fortnite does that too with all they're kind of like the Funko Pop of the
Yeah,
gaming world, where you can play any character you want. They have so many licenses, but that's kind of like its own thing over there. This, it's not a normal, that's the edge case is Fortnite.
right. Yeah, it's not like I remember back in the day playing Soul Calibur and like trying to unlock Yoda in The Witcher.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like it's
exactly.
not stuff like that anymore. Like where you have to actually unlock the stuff and do stuff to unlock it. Um, I put in my notes that it really is a perfect snapshot like of the early 2000s MTV era, because it's a mix of, pro skating with jackass stunts.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect mix of Tony Hawk and Bam Margera. You have Wee Man and Steve-O in the game. You have all these pro skaters, and the whole thing is like so punk rock. Like
Hmm.
the basis of the game, the story of the game is you're on the world destruction tour.
Yeah.
So every level, you go to a different city and you try to destroy as much crap as you possibly can.
And God, I remember just the early 2000s, that whole Jackass crew, like those guys were so freaking famous, man. Not just the
Yeah.
Jackass show, the movies, the Bam Margera TV shows. Bam Margera putting out the CKY videos and all that stuff. Like that was my entire world during that time.
Yeah, and this video game goes right along with it, man. Like I remember my brother and his friends like coming over to my brother's house and sitting in his room playing Tony Hawk, listening to Disturbed on his stereo,
Yeah.
like with their freaking long like punk rock haircuts. Like that's just what the world was at this time. Like this game perfectly embodies like what it was like being a teenager in
Yeah.
the 2000s.
And Nick Windling in the chat says Underground 1 was way better, and Underground 1 had a better soundtrack. And see, that's the thing. Like with these games, they all like now here we are 20 years on, and like these games all came out like with so close to one another. It's like I kind of
Yeah.
get mixed up on which game was which. But I just remember loving every single one of these games when they came out. And the soundtracks, like, that's another thing that they don't do now. Like, you'll never have a
Yeah.
game like this with this sort of soundtrack anymore. With the way the music industry set up and everything, like, you just won't get that anymore.
Yeah, I mean the soundtrack. It even has like you literally it'll come on like Johnny Cash's "Burning Ring of Fire," and then it'll go to the Doors.
Yeah.
Like it's just crazy songs on
Like,
this thing.
and if you wanted to do that now, the licensing fees would be so insane that nobody could afford it.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I've actually never played the first Tony Hawk Underground, so I can't really like comment on the gameplay of that or if it's better or not. I need to, I guess, find a copy and try it out. Something I didn't realize in sort of researching this a little bit. So this was the first Tony Hawk game where you could actually dismount your skateboard. So this was the first one where you could get off your skateboard.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get off your skateboard and go like do stuff like spray paint or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's like what makes this gameplay next level is that if you feel like claustrophobic on your skateboard, you can't get a trick right, you keep falling, you just get off your skateboard for a minute, reposition yourself perfectly for the trick, and then try to do it.
So does this
Uh,
one have the any cheat codes for it? Because I remember we used to put in cheat codes for these games where
yeah.
you'd have like perfect balance when you're doing your grind. So you would get like, do a 2 billion point grind because you would just never fall.
Yeah, it does. Like it has stuff which I never put in any of the cheat codes in my playthrough for the review, but it has stuff like you can get permanent special, which means that like you can slow down what you're trying to do like
Yeah.
permanently. You have cheat codes for characters, like there's a cheat code that unlocks Bam Margera's dad in his underwear. So you can skate as him. Um,
So
you
he
can
had to
unlock
get scanned in his underwear to be put into this game. Just think about that. Somebody had to
yeah.
scan poor Bam Margera's big fat dad to be in this game.
There's enough footage of him in his underwear that I'm sure he
Yeah.
wasn't shy. He's like, "Oh, you're actually paying me for this? Sweet." Yeah, there's that, and you can unlock Keanu Reeves' character from True Crimes of LA
Really?
through a cheat code, and Shrek as well. You can play as
Wow.
Shrek.
So you
Yeah,
can
which I
never
don't.
do that today. Like the licensing fees would be just astronomical.
Yeah, there's nothing more fun to me as a kid than like creating the most insane skate park in the Create a Park feature,
Hmm.
where you can like you have like pretty much free reign to make your own kind of like skating
Yeah.
rink, almost like your own whole thing, and then just tearing it up as Shrek, dude.
Yeah.
Like it would get crazy.
Yeah, I miss stuff like that. I do all that you talking about that is bringing all these memories back, especially of the creator thing where you make your own skate park. Like we spent so many hours just creating our own skate parks in that game and making them impossible, like to where you would get your friends to get to play, these insanely impossible skate parks and get mad because it's just stupid stuff everywhere.
Yeah, did you and your friends ever like play the two-player modes and play sticker tag?
Yeah, yeah, that
That was my
that was
favorite.
fun. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
I forgot all about that too. Man, why don't they make games like this anymore?
because no one sits in the same room and plays the same game anymore.
See, that's just something that's been lost. Like couch co-op is just awesome.
Yeah, that's why I respect the Call of Duty franchise for sort of keeping that alive. Um,
Was this the one Mushmouth, our good friend Mark Simonson in chat brings up? One of them had Django Fett that you could unlock. Was that the first
it
one? Was
wasn't
this
this
one?
one.
Probably the first one, I would think.
Yeah, more than likely. No, this one has, like I said, the Keanu Reeves character, Shrek, um, Jesse James from American Chopper, Wee Man, like people like that that you could unlock. Yeah, and you can play as like an embodied hand. So like, remember the tech decks back in the day?
Yeah,
You can play as like like a disembodied hand, like a giant hand, like you're doing a tech deck.
that's so weird.
It's awesome, dude. Yeah, in terms of like the gameplay and like the story and everything, like the story's not that thick, but you don't expect it to be. Like,
Yeah,
they introduce like an antagonist like way too late into the game, like weird stuff like that. But yeah, it doesn't really matter in the end.
But at
What I
this
thought was
point, I mean, they were just churning these games out, putting in whatever story they could come up with on whatever day it was. They're like, "Oh, we need to get this game out in a few months. Let's come up with a story real quick."
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and it definitely feels like that, but you don't even really need the
You
story.
don't
Like the
play
whole
these for the story. That's not why you play them. It's just any
yeah.
cut scenes in this movie. You're just kind of like, "All right, let's go. I want to get to the next park."
Yeah. And my only sort of like criticisms on the gameplay is that the way the levels are set up, you have to have a certain amount of points before you can go to the next stage. And for the most part, you have a lot of easy tasks where you don't have to be great at skateboarding to get enough points to move on.
Mhm.
Like you can spray paint billboards, like go and find stuff, whatever, and do like sort of basic simple tricks. There's less and less of that as you go through the levels, which I think is great because you do have to get better at the game to keep moving on.
Mhm.
But then there's certain things like there's one where you have to like fart over construction workers' heads and light them on fire. And I spent like 30 minutes trying to do it, dude, because I just could not do this trick. Like
Yeah.
it's this one specific trick that you have to do over these construction workers' heads to fart and light them on fire. And stuff like that, like where there's no other option, but like you have to do this trick this way to do this thing and move on.
Yeah.
Like in a skateboarding game, that's really freaking hard, dude.
Yeah.
It borderline on impossible. I didn't think I'd be able to do it at a certain point. Um, so there's that, and also, so in the final level, so all the pro skateboarders get arrested for stealing a helicopter. So your pro skater companion in the final level is Tony Hawk. So you play as Tony Hawk to do all the like harder skateboarding tricks.
Yeah.
Well, Tony Hawk has a 5-star. So every skateboarder has stats. He has a 5-star air trick stat. So like you could go up in the air, spin around, do crazy kickflip 720s, like super easy with Tony Hawk. But he has like a 3-star or like a 4.5-star manual and grind. So like Tony Hawk's grinding on a rail and it's hard to keep your balance and you just fall. When he's the greatest
Yeah.
skateboarder of all time.
Yeah, but he's not really known for being like a street skater, though. He's more of a ramp guy, you know?
Yeah, I get that. And I understand too, like, especially for the game, you can't make him, too overpowered because then it'll make everything easy to do.
Yeah.
You don't
Eh,
want, he's not perfect at everything, but
was
you would
there?
think that Tony Hawk would be a 5-star skater in his own
Yeah.
game.
So was there an RPG element to these games? I'm trying to remember where you could put stats, like build your stats up throughout the game.
Kind of, sort of. Like, so you're created skater, you do increase your stats with all the tricks that you do. Like I grind a lot playing these games just because it's easy for me to do that little balance mini game.
Hmm.
So like my grind stats were pretty crazy by the end of it because that's just what I kept doing. But it's not like it doesn't matter that much. It's more like your skill level
Yeah.
of being able to do it. Unless you play as Tony Hawk and you're able to do all the crazy stuff in the air. But
See, I think they
again,
could
like,
come back with a brand new Tony Hawk game, like brand new Tony Hawk game, but just make it like with those RPG elements where you could create a skater and as you go through the game, build up, put points and stats, like, get new outfits, new skateboards, sort of like the Rock Band games where you go through and you like get sponsors and all that kind of stuff. And go through the game. I think a game like that would be great to play now.
yeah, I agree. I think the only problem would be just the fact that like no one really cares about skateboarding in X Games anymore. When like in the early 2000s, that was like an
Yeah.
event. Like
Yeah.
everyone watched the X Games. Like these skaters were actual like celebrities. Like
Yeah, that's because the
I
world
can't even name a
sucks now.
famous skateboarder right now.
Yeah, the world sucks now. Nothing's fun anymore.
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, in terms of the reception for this game, so I played the PS2 version. 84% on game rankings, 83 on Metacritic. 1up.com gave it an A minus, 8 out of 10, 9.75, B plus, 8.3, 8.2, 8.6. That's all pretty on par. Like this is
Yeah.
a pretty impeccable game. Like even not having played it in years and going back to it in 2024, it still holds
Hmm.
up, dude. Like you can do a lot worse playing retro games than you can with Tony Hawk Underground 2. Like it looks impeccable. The gameplay is still amazing. Like they really perfected the formula for skateboarding games by this point,
Hmm.
and then just completely expanded on it with Tony Hawk's American Wasteland.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's this one in American Wasteland for me that are really Tony Hawk's magnum opus, dude. Like I give it a very solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah, that's what I figured it would be, a solid 8, because I think if you get a PS2, if you have a PS2 or you're getting a PS2, pretty much any of the Tony Hawk games are a solid
Yep.
buy at this point. I mean, here it is, 2024, and you're saying it still holds up. I may go pick up some of these because I did remember, like, I remember these were my favorite games at the time. This is all we played. We played this and we played NHL 2K games. Between NHL and Tony Hawk's, that was all we played.
Yeah, dude, for me, like growing up playing with my brother and his games, I would play whatever game he was playing.
Hmm.
So he would hand me a player two controller for Tony Hawk 2 or for Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yep.
Like those were our two games, and they're both still to this day I think two of the best games, at least for the PS2, in my heart, maybe ever, dude.
Yeah, I think the early 2000s to like 2012, 2015 was like the golden age of gaming. There's just so much good stuff in that time frame.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, and I'm excited that the PS2 is retro now, so we can start talking about all these old games that people have forgotten about and really give them their shine.
Yeah, that's why I'm playing some San Andreas, because I'm going to review that in a couple of months, because that game still, it looks terrible, but it's so fun. It's still fun to go back and play.
Yeah, the Grand Theft Auto games before like Grand Theft Auto 4 are rough.
Hmm.
They're rough to look at.
Yeah, they're not great. They're way worse than I remember them being.
Yeah,
But
no, I remember trying to play Vice City and just it's unplayable,
I'm
dude.
still looking for that. I can't find that anywhere. Just a random loose copy anywhere. I can't find it anywhere.
I had one, I got rid of it, but
Uh, well, before we leave tonight, I do want to do some listener reviews that we got here on the Discord. I got one in the chamber here from our community manager, Bethany Fox. Thank you for being so awesome over there on our Discord. And if you want to be a part of our Discord, just go to nerdcaveretro.com, click that Discord button, and there's an endless, infinity, always going link to our Discord, where you can just go be a part of the Discord community over there. Just click the link; it'll take you right to it. And we have a tab in there for listener reviews. And this one is from Bethany Fox, and it's Red Out 2. He says, I praise this game so much because I believe it's the game F-Zero could have been and should be, and that game is Red Out 2. Much like its predecessor, Red Out 2 is a hyperspeed racing game where you basically control a hover car. You get a variety of ships you can choose from, and you can also customize their looks with parts you win from events, and you can customize the paint job and it has patterns on it. The controls are tight and more complex than F-Zero, but makes you feel like you're actually flying a ship. You have steering, and on top of that, you can strafe to help with turning, and you have to control your pitch, like lifting the nose when going up steep hills or loops, and you can push the nose down when going over sharp crests. The soundtrack is amazing and honestly suits the tracks. There are evident. There are something effects on the songs to depend on the track. Oh, so whatever. Okay, yeah, it picks the tracks for whatever song to whatever track you're on. Like when you go off a jump, the music almost mutes until you land. If you're in water, it's muffled and so on. Oh, okay, I see what he's saying. He's like, whatever's going on in the game, it affects the sound of the music. That's cool.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I have so much love for this game and F-Zero, but I love Red Out and Red Out 2 more. And he put a link to a review and I think a trailer for the game in the Discord listener reviews section there. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. It sounds good. I've seen him play it a couple times. It looks really good. I just never got around to actually buying it.
I've never heard of it. I don't know what it is.
It looks really cool. It's basically kind of like F-Zero, where it's just you're a flying racing game and everything is just really fast and really cool. And I don't know, I'm kind of getting old, so I don't have the reflexes that I used to have to play games like that.
Definitely not, dude.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not good at Fortnite.
And coming up next week, Derek's still out, but we do have, he's in the chat room right now, Mushmouth TB. Mr. Mark Simmons is going to be in next week to fill in for Derek, and he's going to review Final Fantasy VIII. So I don't know anything about that game, so it's gonna be an interesting conversation next week. And then the week after that, we have I Am the Rampage is gonna be here to fill in for Derek, and I've already forgotten what he's gonna be doing Double Dragon Neon when he comes in. So the next 2 weeks are covered, everybody. And so that's about it. So Derek, Jacob, tell everybody where they can find you and what's going on, and tell them about the Open Micers podcast. I tell them every week, but you tell them to go listen to it.
Yeah, man. Check me out on the Open Micers podcast. Every single week, it's either me and Jason chopping it up about comedy stuff or life stuff and making it funny. And we interview a lot of really good comedians over there. So if you're a fan of comedy, if you like listening from, regional headlining comedians, maybe, we talk to Netflix comedians now.
Yeah.
I mean, we had someone come on our show to promote their Netflix special. So it's pretty insane.
It's insane, the level of people we're getting on the show now. And then not only that, we have our hostful episodes. Like last week, I went back and listened to last week's episode, and it actually made me laugh because I forgot about all the crap that's happened to us over the last few weeks. It's insane. So much weird, stupid stuff has happened to us, both in our personal lives that we talked about last week.
Yeah, it's a pretty funny podcast, man. Me and Jason are funny when we talk to each other.
Gooter in the chat room popping up. Old Gooter, he says, unless Jacob takes a nap and misses a show.
That's the other thing about Open Micers podcast is there's so many missed podcast episodes I'm never gonna live down simply because I was asleep.
Yeah.
I did it again recently, dude.
Like 3 weeks ago.
And then that guy ghosted me for like 3 days, and I was like, "Oh my god, he hates my guts. Why wouldn't he hate my guts?" And then finally messaged me like, "Oh, it's all good, man." I'm like, "Oh my god."
We had such a good show, a good conversation. Like we didn't really need you there because we had a good conversation, but it was just weird because you've never really done that before, where like you just didn't text I was like, Jacob's dead. He's dead somewhere. Like that's the only it's the only thing that could be happening right now. And then you texted me like way after the show. You're like, dude, I fell asleep.
Yeah. Well, not only did I fall asleep, I didn't get woke up. I won't name names, but I didn't get woke up in time to come do the podcast.
You do realize that your cell phone has an alarm on it that you can set, right? Hey.
Listen. Hey, buddy. We're getting into Open Micers subject material now, okay? Why don't you mind your goddamn business? All right? Hey, buddy.
Hey, we've talked about it the last 2 weeks in a row. Nintendo has a new alarm clock that you can get. You can just go get yourself a Nintendo alarm clock, and you'll never sleep past the showtime again.
I still might. I still might do it. I still just might sleep through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a real fun podcast. So if you're a comedy fan, definitely go over there. And then me and Jason do all kinds of stupid videos for our Patreon too. Like this last one, we did a trick or treat Halloween special where I ended up eating a dog treat and drinking mustard flavored soda. I made Jason eat candy corn, which he absolutely despises. So
and it was old too. It wasn't like fresh candy corn. It was like old chalky candy corn.
Which is crazy. That was Dollar Tree candy corn, by the way.
Yeah, that stuff's probably like 20 years old. Like, there's no way that stuff's fresh.
Yeah. But yeah, go to patreon.com/OM podcast if you want to see stuff like that over there. Yeah, tons of really good backlogged content on there that still to this day you can't get. Some of those specials, some of those episodes you still can't get anywhere else. So yeah, go check it out.
Go check it out. And if you want to email us, you can email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. NerdCaveRetro.com is our link tree that includes all of our socials, ways to give us money, our merch shop, which is also at ncrmerch.com. We got all kind of designs over there. You can go get t-shirts, hats, magnets, bags, mugs, whatever your nerdy little heart desires. Also, I understand, like, if you can't be a patron, like, I understand times are tough. If you want to support the show, just go leave us a review and or a 5-star rating on all the podcasting platforms. It's an easy thing to do. It takes like 10 seconds out of your day. Go do that, and we might read it on the show here. So go do that. Let us know. And thank you for hanging out with us. And Jacob, thank you for hanging out and taking over for Derek this week.
You're welcome.
And as Wally would say, live long and smoke meats. And we'll see you all right here next week.
I can't say it again, but you know what Thug 2 does.
Oh, a fellow chucker, eh?
All right, and that's an episode. Oh, I love being able to use my soundboard without everything cutting out. That's awesome.
Simply nerd things.
What is that,
Couldn't
Chuck?
be
What
me.
does that mean? Don't tell him candy corn has stuff from a big. Oh, from it says I don't tell him candy corn has stuff from a bug in it. Oh, I'm sure there's all kind of bug parts in candy corn.
Children of the candy corn.
I think candy corn is leftover residual like stuff from the Manhattan Project, and they just saved it. They're like, "What do we do with this stuff?" And they're just like, "Let's just sell it to kids."
That and cigarettes.
That and candy cigarettes. But thank you. Bugs are delicious, Rampage. But we're gonna go ahead and get out of here.
Crazy. Rampage, you can't be saying that in Trump's America, dog. You need to calm it down.
Yeah, but
You're one step away from eating the pets. Okay? Calm
eating
down,
the
bud.
dogs. They're eating the cats. How did that happen? I'm not gonna get into it. We're gonna go ahead and get out of here. But
we're friends. It's okay. We're friends.
Thank you for hanging out with me, Jacob. Thank you for taking over for Derek.
Oh, you're welcome, buddy.
And thank you all for hanging